If you are Triple H right now and you are investing into a 40-year-old Karrion Kross, is it worth it? Or do you start building somebody who could be a star for the next, let's say, 10 years?
Chill it up.
All right. I've been thinking about this since SummerSlam, and I want to throw it out there to get your guys' opinion. Is it time for WWE to let Karrion Kross go? And not because he's bad, not because I don't think he can get it done in the ring, but looking at where WWE's at right now, I'm wondering if there's actually a better spot for Karrion Kross somewhere else. So let's talk about it. I'll give you my thoughts. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. So after losing to Sami Zayn at SummerSlam, Karrion Kross and Scarlett were not on Monday Night Raw. And rumors have started flying around that their contracts were up this weekend and no new deal was put on the table. Then out of the woodworks comes our good friend Dave Meltzer with some exclusive information talking about WWE has offered Karrion Kross a new deal and they expect him to re-sign. Now, Kross himself goes and does an interview saying some of that isn't true, but he does hope to stay on Monday Night Raw. Then, Fightful reports that even though he was scheduled to be in Brooklyn for Raw, plans changed at the last minute. So here's where I'm at. Is this even real? All of these different reports being thrown around sound like the type of thing Triple H does, where he gets the dirt sheets all stirred up with the will they, won't they situation. Is this just WWE drumming up the IWC and casual wrestling sympathy to create kind of a grassroots campaign to get Karrion Kross back in WWE? Is he already under a new contract and this is just one of Triple H's gotcha moments? You guys let me know. Because here's the problem I see. Right now, WWE's roster is loaded. I can't tell you who you could put Karrion Kross over right now that you wouldn't absolutely hurt someone else's momentum. You've got Gunther, but he's taking time off. He'll be back. You've got CM Punk, who can't afford a bunch of losses right now. You've got Drew McIntyre, who needs a push. You've got Seth Rollins, who's back. He's world champion. You've got LA Knight, who you just absolutely cannot keep burying. The roster is already stacked with guys who are way more over and in better positions than Karrion Kross. And then you have to factor in that NXT is pumping out new stars. You have Trick Williams, you have Sol Ruka, you have Obafemi, and that TV time on Monday Night Raw is going to become more and more valuable as these names get brought up to the main roster. If you are Triple H right now and you are investing into a 40-year-old Karrion Kross, is it worth it? Or do you start building somebody who could be a star for the next, let's say, 10 years? I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you think there's still a big run left for Karrion Kross? Or will he just be stuck in that mid-level, kind of mid-card booking hell that he's been in for the last 2 or 3 months? Now, we could talk about Karrion Kross going to AEW. That's a different story. That roster needs more legit size and strong character workers. You drop Karrion Kross in there along with Scarlett, and you let him lean on the mind games. You give him longer promos. You let him work slower, more psychological style matches. Suddenly, he will stand out in a sea of guys who don't look or perform like him. In WWE, he's just another guy. In AEW, he would stick out like a sore thumb. And the IWC already seems to be pretty sympathetic to his cause, even though I've never been a big fan of the guys who jump from WWE to AEW. I do think that industry-wide, it gets looked at as a step down. I think it sometimes closes a lot of doors. It's worked for a couple of stars like Ricochet and Tony Storm, who at least seem to be happier in AEW. But I don't think it's necessarily always the brightest career move. Now, you do have guys like Aleister Black and Rusev who have proven there is the ability to circle back around. If you go to AEW, you don't talk bad about WWE, you can circle back around and come back to the big show, the big leagues, as I say. I think there's better options, though. I think an option like TNA is better if Karrion Kross really wants to test some new waters. But it really just depends on where he sees the ability to get exposure in front of the most eyeballs. So my question is, would you watch Karrion Kross as a main event heel in AEW, or would you prefer that he ends up somewhere like TNA, or is moving it's just taking the problem to a new address? I also think of the R-Truth situation when we talk about Karrion Kross. As fans, we begged WWE to bring him back, and WWE caved, and now where's R-Truth? He's just kind of floating around backstage. They took his gimmick. They tried to tweak it. They watered him down. They gave him no real direction. And it seems like Triple H tried to appease the fans, and then the fans went silent. They didn't support R-Truth in this character change. And that's the risk that you encounter when you sign somebody that you don't have plans for. Someone like a Karrion Kross. If you don't have a serious plan, things can go sideways. When you bring a guy back who isn't in the plans, it's tough to just make stories for that guy. Everybody else is kind of set in a path at this point, and to just stop is tough. At 40 years old, Karrion Kross, he's not the oldest guy in the room, but he's also not the youngest guy either. So to push a 40-year-old, ask LA Knight, you have to really see upside if you want to take them somewhere for the next, you get 4 or 5 good years? And on top of that, you have the speculation that floats around that Karrion Kross isn't really a bump-taking guy, which I could care less about. I like the psychological, I like the backstage stuff, but the IWC seems to think this could be a real issue with a Karrion Kross. Is there a world where WWE actually commits to a long-term push for Karrion Kross, or is this just going to be rinse and repeat like we've seen with guys like R-Truth? But at the end of the day, what is Kross's ceiling in AEW, in TNA, in WWE? Let's talk WWE. Is he a future world champion? If you guys think so, you've got to speak up. Or is he just a upper mid-card guy who gets the pops, who gets the grassroots swell, but he's just around for 1 or 2 main event programs every year when one of the big baby faces needs a bad guy? If it's the second one, I think that letting him go might actually be the right call. So here's where I'm at with this, guys. I'm not anti-Karrion Kross. I think he's talented. I think that Scarlett adds to the package. But I don't know if WWE right now is the best place to see the best version of Karrion Kross. I want to hear from you guys. Would you keep Karrion Kross on the WWE roster and invest in his future, or should they let him go somewhere he can be a bigger fish in a small pond? I'll see you in the comments. I'm done.